gonna, all right, I'm going to go ahead and get started then. So, hello everyone. My name is Christy, and I am here today to do the resume lab for on behalf of Lola Clayton, and I am one of the career advisors here at WGU. So, hope you're all here to learn more about resumes. So, before we get started, I do need to just kind of talk about some needs. So, life happens. So, please, if you need to if you have something that you need to do and attend to, please don't hesitate to leave and go ahead and take care of whatever it is you need to. We are recording, and what that means is you're going to get a copy of the recording that you can refer back to, or if you're not able to attend the whole session. One thing that I do want to make a note of on this slide is our email address. So I'm going to pop that in the chat for you as well so that you have access to that. So feel free to pop questions in the chat. I'm not actually seeing the Q&A, so please don't put your questions there. You can pop them in the chat, and hopefully I'll catch that and I'll be able to answer those questions for you. But also, you can always email us once after when you have that question pop into your head. All right, so for the agenda today, we're going to go through some, just some general basics. The first thing I'm going to talk about is applicant tracking systems. I'm also going to give you a resume walkthrough. I'll talk about resume do's and don'ts. I'm going to go over in detail job description review. That is a crucial document in the process of creating your resumes. And then if I have time, I'll open it up for Q&A at the very end, but feel free to pop in your questions as they come up. I'm happy to address them. All right, so applicant tracking systems. To understand what makes a resume most effective, it's really helpful to start with how many employers are actually using resumes in the hiring process. So this is actually, most of the time, it serves as the first round of review. And honestly, employers have been using ATS systems for over 20 years. So it is something that becomes more and more common with the use of, the AI and being able to identify who quickly meets the qualifications and the competencies as outlined in that job description. So you might be wondering what happens after you actually hit submit on that job application. And honestly, most likely you're submitting your resume and it is going through that first step of the process, which is running it through that ATS system. Now, applicant tracking systems are in use across all employer types. So private, federal, nonprofit. It's statistically 99% of Fortune 500 companies are using ATS systems. So essentially, unless you're sending your resume directly to an individual's email, you're very likely submitting your process through an applicant tracking system. So what they are is there's two critical things that you need to be aware of, but they are used for their software that employers are using to manage recruitment and hiring, and they're going to serve as that first review of your materials. They do run through an algorithm that scans for keywords, and they get those keywords from that job description, and they're going to assign, based on the scan, how much of your materials match the job description that they've posted. That score is going to be used by recruiters to determine which applications to review. So you can really start to understand how critical the understanding of ATS is. And if you get too low of a match rate, your resume may actually never be seen by a living person. And actually, two critical things that impact your ability to make it past that first barrier of getting past the ATS system is that anything that is aesthetically pleasing, color, pictures, columns, as you see here in this example, those can actually cause complications with the ATS systems. So it might even, if you do spend a lot of time making your resume really beautiful and pleasing, it might not ever actually get into the hands of an actual recruiter, which is basically serving you the exact opposite of what the intention is. The other thing that you need to be aware of with ATS systems are that it is scanning those keywords from that job description. And the more you have matching, the better you're going to have in successfully making it past that first barrier. Now, there's a lot of AI tools out there that you can use to help you with that process. So it's really important, based on this information, that you tailor that resume to each position that you're applying to. And I'm happy to send out those AI tools that will help you understand what to be efficient in finding those keywords that you can use to incorporate in your resume. And lastly, resumes with a low match rate or the color, the aesthetics, and having it, be really fancy using templates or graphics, that can also impact you as well. So now that you know about applicant tracking systems, I'm going to give you some more information about exactly what ATS systems do. They really can struggle with aesthetic formatting. So those are text boxes, columns, colors, icons, bullet points. I mean, really anything other than plain dots on the bullet points can cause problems. So I've actually seen that ATS replaces items that it can't understand with a question mark. So it might be, by the time it does go through the ATS system, your pretty graphics and your color could just be a series of question marks that it just doesn't understand. Um, so I want you to throw out the pretty aesthetically pleasing resume and instead try to provide all of your information in a very plain manner within a text box, table, or border. All of those things are just not necessary. We've got a lot of different samples. They're called templates on our website, but they're really samples that you can look at. I think there's probably over 15 of them. So find the one that you like the best and choose one of those plain formats to go ahead and get started. Having a clean Word doc is the best idea. So even if you do get, have your resume in a PDF version, you're still going to want to use Microsoft Word, because that's going to be the best odds that you have of getting past the ATS system. Microsoft even has templates that are in the program that you can use, and I really highly recommend that you don't use those because they are not ATS friendly. Um, when a recruiter actually is reviewing your resume after it goes through that first line of defense, that ATS system, they're mostly going to be spending their time looking at your resume for about 10 seconds. So they want to be able to very quickly scan your resume, look for the required skills and experiences from their job description, things like columns. They really do force our eyes to bounce back and forth, and it actually will it will cause the recruiter to not have a lot of time to really see the content. So really try to make it as clean as you can, and I would really encourage you to take a look at some of our samples or templates, as they're called, on our website, so that you can find one that you like, that you want to move forward with. So that being said, thinking about, I guess, next slide here, just a second. Um, in the average 10 seconds, really, research is showing that it's only 7.4 seconds. So this is results that were from a 2018 study by the Ladders, which investigated how the human eye processes information on a resume. I'm going to drop in that article from or maybe I'll just send it to you. I think I'll just send it to you after with the recording, so you can take a look at this particular article that really talks about why and the importance of trying to give them the information right in front of them. So these are some of the key points that they want to look for. So you want to make sure, like, your name is large and your current and prior job titles and company names. Those are things that you want to stand out. Here on the next slide, there is actually a template that is really popular that we have on our website. And as you can see from this sample, there are no pretty colors. I mean, the red on here is really designed for you to make sure that you know that things are optional and you wouldn't put the color on your resume. We just wanted it to stand out. But basically, you've got you're including bubbles, and you also want to, like these are the kind of bubbles that you want. Oops, I advance the slide. You don't want anything fancier than just a simple dot. You can see that all of the headers are capitalized. ATS systems actually will read headers as all capitalized, so you don't actually have to make them bold. You can just make them all capital letters, and the ATS system will know that as it's reading your resume that those are the headings. Your professional summary, your contact information is up at the top. If you're going to put your LinkedIn on here, make sure you customize your URL. And if you don't know how to do that, certainly, you can find that information very easily on just by doing a simple Google search. But don't make it a link, an actual link. So if you have like a GitHub or a professional website that demonstrates your work, put them on there in the contact line, but don't include the actual link because that can also impact the ATS system. Here you can see there's no address, but city and state is all they really need for your contact information, like your address. Full addresses aren't really included anymore because they don't really need to know your address, and there's so much identity theft out there anyway. You want to be thoughtful about what you're putting out there, especially on public forums like LinkedIn or Handshake. Um, for the summary, which is optional, it's a really good idea to customize that for each role. Looking for ways that you can incorporate industry-specific keywords and skills that you're going to get from those job descriptions, and also so that the recruiter can really easily see what are the top skills that you have and what is the position that you're aspiring to hopefully get an interview for. Your like the order of these things are subjective. Honestly, what I like to tell folks is, you know, most situations you're going to have a one-page resume. I fold the resume, or imagine to fold my electronic Word document in half. Everything on the top half. So I would say, like in this example, you're only seeing half of the resume. This is the top half. This is the bottom half. So this top half is, I would say, uh, prime real estate on your actual resume. So anything here is to grab the attention of the reader so that they will read the second page, right? This bottom piece. So, if you're a brand new at basically you don't have any experience at all in the field, you're a career changer, you can move your education up towards the top because that's going to be the most relevant component on your resume in relation to where you're getting the experience and the competencies that you have for the position you're applying to. But in this particular case, this example is showing somebody that does, I mean, they have a master's degree, so they're definitely, they've got work experience, and so they're going to showcase what the work experience is rather than the education. But you feel free to move that around. Resume is really your document, so it's a representation of of your information, your career. So the order is going to be however you want to be presented as part of your brand. Kind of going through the rest of this top half, you can see that the job titles are bold, and that's just to help draw your eyes to that. And you've got the very easily to scan the month and the year of the date ranges that you've held those experiences. Now, each of the bullets that you're going to put on your resume, they should be specific. So we recommend this kind of format. We call them accomplishment statements, and we suggest that you have a strong, unique action verb, then you have a task, like what you did, and then the result of that. So these are just some examples. And anytime that you can quantify what those accomplishments are, like this example here where it's talking about increasing the leads by 150%, that really helps to paint that picture and really give the recruiter or the reader uh, a very very easy way to quantify and to really see the value that you brought to that particular position. Now, I got a question in the chat from Daniela. I was told that sometimes some companies will use tools that figure out if AI was used to do the resume. And yes, there are tools, but you have access to AI tools that can detect that as well. So, and then also your question is, do we use the AI as more of a rough draft in that case? Absolutely. So AI is not to replace your resume writing. It's to help you. It's a good starting point. I'm going to just put in a pitch. I could talk for the rest of the hour about AI and AI in a job search, even just specifically to resume. Next week on Wednesday, April the 17th, we are hosting, a colleague of mine, we're hosting an AI Get the Job with AI. So I would encourage you, if you haven't seen it, to please register for that event. As long as you register, we'll send you the recording. But we really go into the details of utilizing AI as a tool in your toolbox of how you can format your resume so that you're just as smart as all the other candidates that are using AI, ChatGPT, and other tools that will help you make this process really efficient. I'm going to send you out some too, ones that I really like in a follow-up email, but I do encourage you to come to that presentation because AI is very, very much not going away. It's constantly evolving, and I could talk, like I said, for the rest of the hour about it. So let's go to the bottom part of the resume. This is the top part. I'm going to flip over to the bottom and I'll just kind of talk about some of the additional information or the subheadings. Here you've got the education. I already mentioned that you can put that up to the top, especially if that's your more relevant experience. Yeah, I'm talking to career changers here, but most of the time, especially the majority of our students at WGU, you all have work experience. So even if you're a career changer, you want to highlight the transferable skills that you have as it applies to the position you're applying to really demonstrate that you have the skills and the competencies to do the new job that you're pivoting to. But as you can see here, this is just more additional experience, which is an optional thing that you can include. Additional experience is only going to include those transferable skills. Your education, you're going to highlight your degree title. If there's a specialization, you can include that if you'd like, especially if it's going to help you incorporate some of those keywords again. Now, the degree, I want to just point this out here. In this example, they're highlighting those relevant courseworks and those capstone projects, and those are really great to include, especially when you have limited experience and you want to you want them to know what your competencies are. For the expected year and the month, you also want to be mindful of ageism. I mean, and I'm just going to be completely transparent. That's a thing. People have biases and they don't even know it. So if you graduated 20 years ago and you don't want that to be a factor, just go ahead and put the month. You don't have to put the year, and that will be completely up to you whether or not you want to do that or not. But ideally, you're looking at experiences 10 years, 15 at the max. You don't want to be going back to, 20 years ago, you were doing XYZ. Because to be honest, from a recruiter standpoint, if you did something 10 years ago, very unlikely that, I mean, can you really call that a relevant skill? Unless there are those exceptions, but unless it's really directly related to whatever it is you're trying to apply to, I would not include anything beyond 10 years or more. Uh, if you have a lot of experience, let's say you're going through an executive role, Yes, you can absolutely go on to a second page, but don't go to include on the second page just like one paragraph. Use up at least a third of the page. You're already on that second page, and anything on the second page really needs to be kind of supplemental because it is unlikely that they're going to get to that second page. Kind of like that top, prime real estate on your resume, that top half. If you're having to go to a second page, you really want to make sure everything that is super important is on that first page. Now, going back here, something I didn't mention, professional summary, it replaces objectives. So if you have an objective on your resume that is outdated and you want to instead identify a professional summary where you're really giving a summary of your skills and qualifications as it pertains to the job that you're applying to. And then if you have space, you could also include professional affiliation. So, like, let's say you're in HR and you have you're part of a professional organization, that you'd want to include that. But that is literally really only if you do have the space. You certainly don't want to go to a second page to add your professional affiliations. That might be something you'd want to include instead on your social media profile. And Gabriella just asked if the sample resume will be available. Absolutely. I'm going to send out all of the resources that I talk about. If you want to navigate there right now, it's on the careers webpage, which you can get through the academic success, through the student portal, and We Are Careers at WGU.edu. And right in the career library, it's under Get the Job, but I will absolutely send this particular um, this sample, but there are about 15 of them under step 2. Great question. All right, so I'm going to go over, that was a pretty extensive walkthrough, I apologize, but the next section is really just talking about some do's and don'ts. Um, I have a short video that I'll also send you, but your resume document title should not include your first and last name. You can just put maybe your first letter of your initial and your last name, um, but you don't need to put the whole thing. Now, you do want to make sure that you have a ATS compliant font. So fonts that are highly common are going to be like, Calibri, Arial, the Sans one, and then Times New Roman is also another recruiter friendly. Thinking about recruiters and the thousands of resumes that they review, you don't want to have anything fancy, cursive that, kind of impacts the way that you're looking, especially if you're looking at a large volume, right? Personal pronouns, so I, me, we, they, our, those are not on the resume. So that would be appropriate for social media, like your LinkedIn profile, but on your resume, you do want to maintain more of a professional tone. And this is going to allow you to use like sentence fragments to be a little bit more concise. It's something called first person implied. So if you do have I or me, you want to make it first person implied. Um, Personal pronouns aren't really used on resumes to maintain a formal tone, though they actually they're really just allowing you to have a method to be able to be concise, describing those skills and experiences. Really, everything on your resume needs to actually be relevant to the job that you're applying to. I can't tell you how many resumes I've received over the years as a hiring manager where I just can't figure out how somebody's resume got to me because we use ATS systems and I'm trying to connect the dots. Recruiters in 7.25 to 10 seconds, they don't have the time to connect the dots. They want you to connect the dots so that they can very quickly decide if they're going to look at you further or if they're going to put you in the reject pile. Make it easy for them. Connect the dots for them. Don't spend time putting anything and everything you've ever done because folks don't want to have to read through your 3-page, 4-page resume to try to figure out if you have the competencies. All right. Definite red flag. Don't ever do this. Do not copy the job description and put it in in white text on your resume or on your actual at the end of your resume. Folks are always trying to ways to trick the ATS system. That is definitely something that is talked about in the recruiting world, and folks frown upon it, and they just don't think it's ethical. That you really do want to spend the time tailoring that resume and not putting in white text somewhere in the background in tiny font so that so that your resume has a high matching. Use the AI tools that I will send you to help make that an efficient process. It is really about quality, the quality of your tailored resume, connecting those dots to the employers rather than how many jobs can I apply to. The more jobs I apply to, the better my chances are to get a position. Uh, One other thing that is outdated, as is the objective, is references. You do not have to say references available upon request or list out the references. This is implied. If you apply for a job, it's expected and implied that you're going to provide references. So don't waste the space on your resume. And then, of course, we already talked about this: no tables, no text, no colors, no photos, no pretty graphics. Keep it simple, and if you want, use one of the templates that we have, and then stay away from those pronouns. And um, if you want to have your resume and it's only, maybe you're having a hard time getting it to one page, please don't use font that's tiny, because if it does get to the recruiter, they're going to be annoyed that they have to, get their cheater glasses or get a magnifying glass. They're not going to bother. They've got 1,000 other resumes that they can look at. Try to make it easy for them. All right, so no font smaller than 10 and keep it basic. Now, I want to go into the job description. So, job description is a key document that you're going to use at various points in your job search. Now, I highly recommend that before you even start writing your resume, you look at your job description. And the reason why is because it is a key document that is going to help you write your resume, showing those competencies and connecting those dots for employers, but it's also going to help you prepare for your interview. So this is an example of a job description, and what we have done here is kind of highlighted the things that we've decided are important to be including on our resume. So you'll see too, as you're looking for a job, like let's say I'm looking for a bookkeeping job, you'll start to actually see that there are patterns of qualifications and skills that they're asking for. So I'm not asking you to create a new resume every time you apply for a job. Instead, I'm going to encourage you: start with a job description, get your resume tailored to that, and then the next time you're looking for a bookkeeping position, you're going to find that there's so many similarities. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can throw it through an AI, like a job scan or a Joblytics scan, and easily identify the things that you need to make sure that you're refining or updating so that it matches the job description, so you can get a high enough rate so you can get that interview. When you go through line by line on a job description, if you do this, you will not only really demonstrate to the recruiter that you have translated all your wonderful skills and abilities to that job, but you're also preparing for the interview, because after you have, you know, the resume is just the first step. The whole point of the resume is to get you the interview. Then when you're in the interview, you're going to have to talk about what's on your resume. And now that you've already gone through line by line on that job description, you have a really good idea of how you can talk about, all the different things that you've done in relation to this job, if that makes sense. So I would recommend, you got the job description, I would go right to the requirements. So right here, you see the requirements. Review these. You really want to also save your job descriptions. This is something that I think people make the mistake of doing one time, right? As soon as you apply for a job, your tailored resume and the job description should both be saved documents. Either capture the screenshot or save it, because a lot of times employers are going to remove the job description when when they start the interview process, right? They don't want to have more applicants. They have the applicant pool, they pull the job description, and now you get a call 3 weeks later for an interview and you don't have the job description, which you need to study to be really good at the interview. So, best advice I can give you about this is save both. Because you're tailoring that resume, you want the version of the resume that you sent them, because that's what they're going to have and that's the talking points that you're going to want to address. And you're going to need that as a study guide, that job description, so that you can nail the interview and get the job offer, right? So here in the requirements section, you're going to see what's coming up repeatedly. So I have 3 job descriptions, and they're all talking about strong problem-solving skills. Well, wow, that must be really important to this particular role, because it seems to be a pattern on all of these job descriptions that are similar. So you also note that these bullet points, they're not just in a random order. The employer, and if there's anybody here on the call that's done hiring, you write that job description and you prioritize the things that you really want. You make sure that this bachelor's degree, that is not negotiable, right? Because it's probably, it's the top one. It doesn't matter if I don't know what's here at the bottom, but these are the things that are very intentional that the recruiter, or not the recruiter, the hiring manager has outlined as what they need. So be be very aware of the skill list, but also, you know, if something's down at the very bottom and you don't have that particular skill, probably not a big deal. Really emphasize the top 5 things that are here on these job descriptions. Um, all right, so uh, if you when you do your resume, one thing too, I'm talking about priority, like the employer has really prioritized these the way that they want them. You want to do the same thing with your resume. So as you're listing your skills, you want to make sure that you're putting, if they are listing bachelor's degree, maybe you put bachelor's degree up towards the top because you think, hey, they really are emphasizing that. It's the top skill requirement. And then you look at the second one. All right, it's customer service. I have lots of customer service skills. I'm going to talk about that in my accomplishment statements. Remember the verb, the action verb, the demonstration, and the result. Then you're also, pick the top 3 that you can talk about in your professional summary. Really make it clear to them you have these skills, and not just say, I have problem solving skills. You want to demonstrate how you use those problem solving skills in whatever it is that you are, in your prior work experience, your coursework, your academic projects, or even your personal, projects and hobbies that relate to the job that you're applying to. Now, one of the things that you can do is you can use AI. There's a site called TagCrowd, which I'll send out to you folks. But TagCrowd allows you to copy your job description, the text, and then put it into TagCrowd, and it will actually come up with all sorts of keywords for you so that you can really make sure that's exactly what this is. We've taken a job description, we sent it through TagCrowd, and it has identified that those are the common themes that they keep talking about. So clearly, communication and collaboration, it's all over this. Customer service, all over this. Make sure that you're really providing clear, specific, hopefully quantify your ability, just like they are doing here on this job description, right? So if I've got 10 years of customer service and, problem solving, communication, I want to really demonstrate how I was able to do, maybe my professional summary would say something like dedicated professional that enjoys, with 10 years of customer service, that enjoys communicating with diverse populations, whatever it is. But using TagCrowd or other forms of AI can really help elevate your get your ideas going and help you to incorporate these into your actual resume so that you do stand out as an applicant. All right, so some other online tools. So the tagcrowd.com, that one is a good one. And then here are the ones that I'm going to send you. And I'm going to just tell you my favorite is Joblytics, and the reason I like Joblytics is because, well, basically, it's a platform that allows you. It's a Google thing, and I use Google Chrome, so you can actually download the extension, put it in your toolbar, so that wherever you're looking for jobs, you can, with a click of a button, upload your most current resume, and then have it do just what TagCrowd does. But you don't have to go to a separate site. You're there on an Indeed job posting. You're there on a LinkedIn job posting. Right where you're at, it will allow you to use this tool. So, and it'll do something very similar. It'll actually highlight the things in red that you didn't include. It'll give you a score out of 100. So, you're aiming for, I would say, between 60 and 70, but I have heard the sweet spot is 50%. You certainly don't want to be over 70% because you got to have some room for growth, right? There's got to be some opportunities for you to be challenged and to learn and grow as a professional. But that's pretty subjective too. It just depends on what research you read. Joblytics is great. JobScan is really common. I love JobScan too, but they want to charge you after you do 3 scans. So I'll send these out to you folks. I would recommend. This is also not an exhaustive list either. If you come to my AI presentation, I'll give you even more really fantastic AI tools that can help with the efficiency of getting your resume in tip-top shape so that you can get more interviews. All right, I'm going to just take a quick moment here and see if there's any questions. Yeah, somebody's internet is going out. I'm absolutely going to send this recording, so you feel free to sign off if you need to. Um, it looks like Lily says that she heard about putting measurable achievements on your job description, but for registered nurses who mostly provide service to people, how do we put measurable achievement? It's a great question. And she also provided that she's switching careers to informatics, but not sure how to put related accomplishments. I mean, you can quantify anything. That's an excellent question. But really, like if I'm switching to informatics, and let's say I did a project, or you can quantify. Um, uh, it, let me think for a second. Informatics is all about data and attention to detail. So my guess is, as a nurse, you have an extreme level of attention to detail because you have to be monitoring numerous patients at the same time. So you could describe to the recruiter, you can say excels at attention to detail, uh, and then put in an action statement. How do you do that? By actively taking care of 35 patients in an emergency room setting to make sure that everybody's medical attention or medical needs are being met. Putting a number to how many people are on your team, how many patients that you have, how many different specialties you have to really be a liaison to, how many teams do you have to get knowledge from? I mean, thinking about informatics, yes, very different. You've got clinical nursing, but you also, and then you have like more background data driven kind of using technology to make decisions. You make decisions every day. One that impact life and death. So really, letting the employer know, you have to be up to date on all the policies as they evolve. You have to you have to use your analytical skills to review each individual patient's chart so that you can make sure that they're getting their needs met. So many different ways. And maybe you can't think of an efficiency, like an efficiency number, like somebody in sales can say, I was able to increase sales by 50%. But don't think of it as that, but painting that picture and showing what you do and quantifying what you're actually doing is so powerful because it's not just words on a page. It's really demonstrating what those skills are and how they're going to help you in your health informatics role. So if you need some help with that, we absolutely have. I'll talk a little bit about our process for getting some resume feedback. But before we do, I'm going to try to go through some of these slides because I don't want to run out of time to give you the content that you all are here for. So in the next slide here, and please keep your questions coming in the chat. I'm happy to answer those as they come up. Here is our website. So if you were able to navigate there, I will give you the link. For some reason, I don't have the ability to copy and paste things in chat because I'm presenting this webinar, but this is what our website looks like. And right now, it's constantly changing. So, but mainly up at the top, you're going to see career tools. When you go to career tools, you'll have access to lots of different things. But if you put your cursor over here and click on it, I think I have my next slide shows what that looks like. Oh, yep. So that just opens up a new menu when you click on that career tools, and you're going to want to click on get the job. Now, once you click on get the job, it will take you to, gosh, a lot of really great information. But here you're going to see resumes, and further down, because this is a screenshot, but further down on the page, you could see social media and grab that LinkedIn user guide that talks about how you can really, use some of our resources to help you have a strong profile. But this is where you're going to find the resume documents. Now, I wonder if I have time to just really quickly show you what are all the different templates, because somebody asked about that, and I think I actually will have time to do that. So I'll pop over. Can you guys still see this? Anybody? I might have to stop and then reshare. Oh, okay. Got some yeses. All right. Sorry, I got lost in the questions. I'll get to those in just a moment. But here's our live website. So like I showed from those screenshots, you have to get the job, and then you have over here, you've got social media if you're interested in that. But here's resumes. And when you go to resumes, there is this whole section here that's utilize templates and resources. So there's a lot of different resumes. The one that I was showing was I think just the business one, the business resume. Yeah, this looks like that. So I'm going to pop in the chat since I have it up for those who want to grab it while you're here, or this is a similar resume, but we've got quite a bit. Now, sorry. All right, so I'm going to pop back over here to the chat, but I really just want you guys to know that we've got all these really great tools for you. And if I have time, I want to show you something that we're piloting that you might be interested in. It's an AI tool, but the links that I'm putting in here, like the templates and all of the resources, you do need to have your, your WTU credentials. So it's very important to sign on. Otherwise, you won't be able to access them because they're on our SharePoint. So that being said, I'm going to move on. Well, I'm going to take a quick moment. I know I saw some questions, so I'm going to answer them really quickly. So I already got Lily. So we've got Tasia, and she says, how would you advise arranging an updated resume after being a stay-at-home mom for 4 years? I love that question. I get that one a lot. So thank you for asking. Honestly, I'm going to go right back to that job description. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a parent, but I know that being a parent is absolutely it's like you're running a household. You've got you're a teacher, you're in charge of budgeting and inventory and all sorts of things. So what I always tell the folks that ask me that is the first thing you're going to do is you're going to highlight all of the things that you absolutely have been doing as it relates to the job that you're trying to pivot to. So maybe that's time management, right? I think of some of my friends who have parents and who are parents, they have kids, and that's just the scheduling to get them all to their sporting events and extracurriculars. Wow, that's a huge skill and one that employers would love to have, and that would add value. So you use that job description. I'm not sure if I can go back to the job description example, but let's say I'm going to, oh, here it is. Let's say I'm looking at this. This has strong um, communication and collaboration skills. Well, my goodness, I am constantly communicating, right? You're communicating to teachers and coaches and, to your kids, and you're having to explain things multiple times in different ways because they don't seem to get it. So, what you'll do is you can highlight on your resume, you're going to highlight the job as, as the job title, like self-employed, and then you're going to list things just like you do, action, verb, task, and result that pertain to the job description. So even though it's not a paid job, it is a job. It's a big job, probably the hardest job you're ever going to have. Why not highlight the things that relate, the transferable skills that relate? If you don't have work experience for that 4-year period, I would probably move education up to the top. Talk about those technical skills that you're learning in your programs, right? Do the relevant coursework, and then you can include under relevant experience is how I would describe that. And then I would highlight all the transferable skills that you have being a stay-at-home mom and all that that includes, which, as it relates to the job description. Hope that answers your question. If you want some more advice on that, I would also encourage you to schedule an appointment either with myself or with one of the career advisors because we can absolutely help you maybe even help with the use of AI to get you really thinking about how all the wonderful things that you're doing as a parent or, any other capacity can help you be marketable in the world of job seeking. So great question. Thank you for that. Um, all right, where was I? Here we are, Q&A. This is the time that I have dedicated for regular questions. These are just some common questions, but I would love to open up the floor and let you guys chat. And Tejas has also indicated that she should, let's see, another follow-up question. Oh, wait, hold on. Yeah, honestly, the self-employed feature, those of you guys that are on the call today that are tech, I know so many people that are, oh, I'm really passionate about technology. You can do the same thing. There's a lot of things that are self-taught in the tech industry. Put that on your resume. Do self-employed and include that. But you want to make sure that you're putting it in and not just say, oh, I have time management skills. You want to really describe it. Did you build a computer from scratch? That's absolutely a huge accomplishment. Put that down. Put it in just like a job, self-employed, and then describe in accomplishment statement format, action tab, wait, verb, action verb, task, and then result. Really describe how you were able to build that computer. Um, Employers will love that. They'll be able to see, okay, well, yeah, you don't have any work experience, but oh my goodness, you were able to build a computer, or this, you taught yourself this computer language. Wow, you're really resourceful. These are demonstrating all of the wonderful value that you're going to be bringing to employers. All right, so I'm going to go in order. So just pop your questions in the chat. We've got about 10 minutes left, so I'm happy to stay and answer any questions you might have. And if you want to go off mute too, let me know. I can take you off mute. You can ask your question. But I'm going to go to the next one here from Stephen. I'm an administrative director who started as an administrative assistant at the same company. If making a resume seeking to be hired elsewhere, should I include both job descriptions? I was the assistant for 7 years and currently director for 5. This is another really great question. Thank you. This is going to lead me over to our website because I want to show you we have an example for that. Um, I think that it's really important to show the separate positions, and there are multiple ways that you're going to be able to do that. I myself, when I see this on a resume, when I can see that you're doing different positions with the same company, I love that because that shows that you grew with a company, which is really rare in today's job market. Honestly, you don't hear people being somewhere for more than 2 years, let alone 12. So kudos to you for having that, that loyalty and being able to grow with the company. To demonstrate that, there are quite a few ways to do that. So I'm just going to go to our resume templates, and there is this multiple roles, same employer resume sample. So I'm going to pop this in the chat for you, Stephen, and for anybody else that this is that could benefit from this. But you can see that they're doing it in a couple of different ways. You don't necessarily even need to be at the same employer. So if you have, like, a lot of people will meet with me and they'll say, "Gosh, how am I going to get all my stuff onto one page?" Well, this is a great way to do that. You can put similar jobs in nature. So, like, let's say you were an administrative assistant, or maybe you were a director, administrative director at multiple places. You can put in the positions with the month and the year, or you can put in, like, you'll put in the employer name, you'll put in the most recent current position, then you'll put in, without putting in any spaces, you're going to put in employer name again, and then the most recent position. The important part is you're going to use all the same accomplishment statements, because whether it's the same job or it's a if it's a similar job but with a different company, this is a great way to get down to kind of combine things, right? No, redundancy isn't appropriate on a resume either, because if I'm reading a resume and I'm reading, oh, look, this person has, they're doing customer service, or they're using the same tool in 3 different jobs. I don't want to read that 3 times. I want to be fast. I want to scan it. I want to see. So this is a really great way to be able to put down your jobs. And if your administrative assistant role was very different than your director role, which I'm assuming it is, I would really recommend that you do this in this example. So, because my guess is, as the administrative director, you're going to have a lot more higher level decision making, people leading, motivating, all of that maybe you didn't necessarily have as an administrative assistant. But I could be wrong. But this latter part would be the example that I would encourage you to use. Listing, your most recent. So you're going to put your administrative director here, list your accomplishment statements and action, task, and verb, um, action, verb, task, and result. And you don't have to just, be limited to 3. My guess is your most recent position, you probably have a long list that you can include. So your resume might just be this, with your 2 jobs taking up the first page, really highlighting the things that are relevant to what you're pivoting to. But this is a good example. The other one that is one that I should probably show you guys is this functional skill-based resume, because this is also another pretty common way that you can do your resume. So here we've got the skill-based, and you can see there are no dates, right? The other one has the dates. So this has the dates at the very bottom. So this is really saying, this is all my human resources experience, all the good stuff I have. I'm going to put in, this is, looks like they've got 10 years. I'm thinking at one company in this example, but you're still giving them the job dates, but you're kind of looping them all together and just saying, this is the things that are relevant to the industry that I'm pivoting to. And then the employment history is just a way for them to, be able to quickly identify, oh, okay, he was a human resource, you know, uh, I don't know, a human resource specialist from September to present. You easily quantify, oh, does this person meet the minimum requirements that the hiring manager is looking? Because recruiters aren't hiring you. They are trying to get as many talented individuals in front of their hiring manager as they can. And they usually have quotas. So a hiring manager writes the job description and then tells the recruiter, I want, those qualifications, right? Like the example that I provided, I need at least 3 years of customer service. And so this is still really important for the recruiter to be able to identify that you do meet the minimum requirements, but it really does a good job of just showcasing. So this is their human resource stuff, and this is their employee training and supervisory experience. So I hope that was helpful. But it looks like Stephen, how would you put continuing education? That is also another great question. A lot of folks that I have the pleasure to meet with, they're actually actively looking for jobs while they're going to school. So I would really encourage you to put in your anticipated graduation date. So anything that is in progress, whether it's a certification, a license, um, anything you're actively using, right? You're going to put in an anticipated graduation date to let them know you still meet the requirement as of that date. So here's an example of this. This is for my teachers out here. This is the demonstrative teaching resume. And you can see they've listed their certifications and they write the word anticipated. They don't actually put date. Uh, I probably just put anticipated. It just depends. It doesn't really matter that the word date doesn't isn't going to impact the ATS or not unless they have date all over their job description, in which case I would put date. But you can put anticipated. There are other words that you can put in there too. I'm totally drawing a blank onto what those are right now, but in this example, we're using the word anticipated, and that just tells the person. Um, I don't have this yet, but it is coming, and I plan on having it done on such and such date. That being said, one last nugget for you guys. I know we got 2 minutes. I appreciate y'all hanging in there till the end and asking some good questions. I do want to say that, and this is for all the folks in the room that are feeling a little bit of imposter syndrome, and you might not ever have that experience. I think, gosh, I don't have the qualifications. How am I ever going to get 2 years of experience for this entry level job? Y- Um, my best advice is if you meet 50% of the qualifications, please apply for the job. You know, I have I in my experience, I look for when I'm hiring somebody, I don't look for does this person have everything that I'm asking for. I write the job description with room for growth. I don't anticipate having somebody right off the bat that is going to just hit the ground running and be able to do everything on my list. So I say if you have 50% of the qualifications, you emphasize that 50%. Don't worry so much about the rest. If you have the passion and the drive and the motivation to continue to grow and to continue to learn, that's something that is so attractive to employers. They want folks to be able to develop skills, to grow professionally and grow with their organization. So please don't wait till you check every single box because that's really doing you a disservice. The best thing you can do for yourselves as you're, for those of you who are currently working in your programs, the best thing you can do is push yourself. Go outside your comfort zone. Develop those skills so that when you get your degree, you're either already working in the field or, you're already gaining practical experience to help you, whether it be an internship or a job simulation, that really demonstrates to the employer that you are really excited about the work that they're trying to find talent for, and hopefully, this will lead for you to get more job, not offers. Just let's start with the interviews because that right there in itself is probably the hardest thing right now in today's job market. There are plenty of jobs, but people don't know how to tailor their resume so that they can get in front of a hiring person to start describing and talking to them about their skills. And I'm going to have to let you all know that I don't have time to show you the teaser of the AI tool for resumes. So I'm going to invite you to come to our AI presentation about using AI ethically to get, to start using the tools that recruiters and hiring managers have been using for more than 2 decades. So please come, register for the event, and learn more about how to use AI in your active job search. So thank you all for coming, and I'll be sending you the recording as well as I'm gonna send you all the links that I talked about and all the ones that I popped in the chat. So I appreciate you all. And a special shout out to the folks that came to my drop-in right before this. It was really great to meet you folks. Take care and have a wonderful rest of your day.